Hello friends, this is your teacher Manish, and in continuation with our discussion on software project management, today I am going to speak about challenges in software project management. In last video, we saw what a project is, we specifically saw what project management is, and also we discussed a lot about four constraints, which is scope, cost, time and quality. So today we are going to discuss about challenges in software project management. So guys, what are challenges? Challenges are something that puts you to test. You have to put in your knowledge, skills, demonstrate your resilience. You need to do anything and everything to ensure that you overcome those challenges. Okay, so let's take an example. For example, a mountaineer, a professional mountaineer, climbing Everest is his dream and equally a challenge. Okay, because not everybody cannot do that. Say example of international cricket player, and you see a bowler Shane Bond who bowls at a speed of 154 kilometers per hour. So for every batsman to face Shane Bond is a challenge, and one has to demonstrate his grit and stand on the pitch to face it. Okay, so every project manager is going to face a huge amount of challenges when he is executing a project. Okay, so we are going to discuss about those challenges. Okay, so basically getting into further details, let us first understand what are typically problems that come in software project, because those challenges are nothing but resolving those problems, right? So I have listed few of the problems on this whiteboard, and we can go through each and every point, and they are absolutely important, and every project, whether it's a small or large, faces this problem at some point of time. Okay, so very first problem which I have kind of listed is vague and ever-changing requirements. Folks, this is one of the most important thing, and it's a fact. In my 2.5 decades of IT career, where I have delivered software solutions globally, and I can tell you, I have not come across any project or any customer who has baselined his requirements in first go. Okay, so, and there are a number of reasons. I'm not saying customer is not right or customer is vague. Yes, at times customer changes requirements continuously, but at times it is a problem with the project team as well, because many a times people who go to capture requirement, a team which goes to capture requirement is not sufficiently experienced, and they don't document requirements which are very well understood by developers and testers below the life cycle, and they tend to build a software based on what gets communicated to them as a part of requirements, and finally when the software starts getting demoed to customer says, look, I actually have asked you a commodity vehicle, but you are giving me a luxury car, or vice versa. I have asked you a luxury car and you are giving me a commodity vehicle. So vague and ever-changing requirements is always there, and it's a big problem, and hence it's a big challenge for software project manager to ensure that how the requirements get baselined and how the change control is managed as the life cycle starts. So it's a huge negotiations at time. Okay. Second most important point is incorrect or optimistic estimates. Guys, estimating a software, and that too accurate, is very important, and majority of project overshoots the budgets or timelines just because the fact that people who have estimated it probably estimated it incorrect. So let us take an example here, okay, for estimates. Okay, simple. I have, say for example, I have two people who work for 4 days and dig 6 pits which are 6 feet deep. Okay, so this is a classic example. Here we have manpower, which is 2 people. We have timeline, which is 4 days, and we also have size of work which they are going to do. And that size of work is 6 pits, and each is 6 feet deep. Okay, a simple unskilled work, okay, comprising of key parameters. One is manpower, how much of efforts required. Okay, so efforts are simple. How do I calculate? 2 people working for 4 days is nothing but 4 to the 8 days. Okay, what is the size? Size is number of pits 6, and each is 6 feet deep. So this defines the size of work. Okay, now let me take an example of software, because to some extent software is also similar. What probably changes is just the skills of the individual who are going to do the work and the output of the individual which is going to get produced. Time remains the same factor, which is important there, which is important here as well. Okay, so let us imagine there are 5 software engineers. 5 software engineers developing 10 Java classes, okay, and they take, say for example, 10 days. Okay, so 3 parameters, again 5 software engineers doing development for 10 days, which is nothing but total efforts of 5 multiplied by 10, which is 50% days. And size over here is Java classes. Now look, 6 feet 6 feet deep is very clear, right, when it comes to size. 10 Java classes, vague, because one Java class might be 10 lines code, another Java class might be 1000 lines code. I don't know. Okay, so there is going to be a vagueness, unclear things over here, right? Sizing a software is very difficult at times, although there are different methodologies, and we are going to talk about those methodologies in estimation process or in software estimation. But sizing software is a very, very difficult thing. Okay, and that is where teams fail, because either they size it incorrectly, or just because of pressure to reduce the price, they size it optimistically. Okay, when I say optimistically, they are very conservative in terms of percentage. So huge amount of work they feel, okay, they can do it in lesser days, but actually it turns out to be a complex work. Okay, and hence incorrect / optimistic estimates becomes one of the key challenges for software engineer, because the mistake which is done earlier in the life cycle or before development starts, a project manager unfortunately has to take it forward or carry it forward until he delivers the project. Okay, and he has to juggle around things to ensure that he manages to deliver software within those estimates. Okay, because if he delivers with larger efforts, the cost is going to be high, and thus the profitability of project is going to drop. Okay, so this becomes another important aspect. Okay, third is fast and changing technology landscape. Folks, I would always say, fortunately, I won't say it unfortunately, but fortunately we are going to be part of this industry which is full of unknowns and which is evolving with huge pace, okay, as compared to any other industry. Change is the only constant. The technology which is hot in the market today gets obsolete tomorrow. And every individual needs to keep with speed of this changing landscape. Okay, and unfortunately, project manager is the guy who has to manage it. Okay, and software project management deals, because we have in last video saw that software project management is a triangle, and three sides are people, process, and the base was technology, right? And if technology is changing, your base is continuously evolving, and one has to keep pace with that. Okay. Fourth point, and which is a huge challenge and a problem as well, is poor communication. So what does communication here means? Project management involves a number of stakeholders. Please try to understand. It is not just the project team which is delivering the project, but there is a customer, there is a vendor who is going to supply you different items, material, be it hardware, software. There is probably an outsourcing partner. There is a product vendor, say a product vendor like Oracle or Microsoft, who has delivered you or given you the products on which you are building the software. There could be a service provider, like ICT service provider, information communication technology service provider, a provider who has provided you network services. Now, taking all these stakeholders together, building the solution and delivering needs huge amount of communication, interaction between themselves. And one of the most important stakeholder is your customer. And in my experience, I have seen project managers at times failing because they don't break bad news to customer early in the life cycle. They try to keep those news to themselves, try to work around things to see that things won't be communicated or won't be known to customer. But unfortunately, when customer comes to know, he rips them apart. Okay, so poor communication is one of the most important problem also in software project, and you need to really have a communication plan in place. We'll be talking a lot about this in our future videos. Fifth point I have mentioned is budget reduction resulting in curtailing and shortening life cycle activities. Well, project starts fine, everybody gives green signal, and after completing certain activities, after completing few phases, there is a problem and customer decides to cut down the budget. Customer comes and says he doesn't have sufficient money to continue with the project, or he just asks the project team to start downsizing or start reducing the scope, and that's where the problem starts. Okay. Now, if such scenario occurs, there are two options. One is just scale down the project, stop it. Or another option could be, yes, fine, do it in phases. How can I reduce the scope? How can I actually go and reduce the activities which are built? May not be that, a priority. You can wait for some time. So, budget reduction is one of the problems which is faced by projects, ongoing projects, and hence a challenge. High attrition. Attrition over here means typically resignations. There is huge amount of joining and leaving within the project team. Although in current scenario you may argue with me saying that yes, people are stable nowadays, but I differ because I feel experienced people, skilled people, and that too niche skilled people, okay, tend to leave jobs during the critical time, or tend to open up negotiations during the critical time, and that's where project problem starts, and software project manager is into fix, because he has got his commitment towards the customer, and at the same time somebody walks to him and says, look, I am not interested to continue because I have got some other opportunity. So it's another problem, and obviously when it is a problem, it needs to be resolved, and hence a challenge, because it takes huge amount of planning in terms of mitigation. Seventh, too many players in the game. So today you will not find a single solution provider giving end-to-end solution. You would find a lot of players involved, and I have mentioned some of them just some time ago. You might have somebody who is a communication provider who provides you network services, internet services. There might be somebody who provides you products. There might be somebody who would provide you cloud services. There might be somebody who is your outsourcing partner. When I say outsourcing, it's nothing but the partner who is going to do development, testing, solutioning, okay, for you. So there are a number of players involved, and when there are a number of players, and believe me, I have delivered very complex system integration projects in which there were multiple parties involved, okay, and the blame game starts immediately. Okay, so when a problem starts happening, your database product vendor says it's an operating system problem, and your operating system vendor says it's probably a problem of application developer. Your application developer starts blaming it onto networks elements, and you have people finger pointing to each other and saving their own bags, and that's where the game really becomes muddy, because who finally gets impacted because of this is your customer, okay, because he gets thrown from pillar to post, okay, and finally a dissatisfied customer goes and impacts your brand value in market. Okay, so managing too many players within the project becomes a huge responsibility of a project manager. Okay, there are a lot of older legacy applications still up and running. So if you go in Western countries, developed countries, you have large insurance companies or banking or financial companies, financial services companies who still have their backbone mainframe applications up and running. And problems are that there are very few people now who understand those domain, as well as very few people who understand the technology of mainframe applications. And if your project involves data migration or migrating from one legacy to a newer technology, okay, it becomes more challenging. Integration limitations are there, integration constraints are there. Okay. Point number 9, I have mentioned regularity and statutory requirements. Well, every country is bounded by their regulations, and there are certain regulatory requirements which comes as mandate. So a software needs to be changed within specific time, and probably the government or regulatory body doesn't provide you luxury of huge time saying that okay fine, you do it for so many months and then deliver it. No, it might be some days, few days, some months, and you have to be ready, you have to deploy it, you have to go ahead. Okay, and if anything fails, government might fall, and then you can imagine what is the kind of pressure that everybody kind of undergoes. Okay, last and probably may not be that frequent, but I have faced few times, okay, that there are delays in decision making at customer side. So a software company bids for software project, and by the time decision is done, few months, few weeks of important period passes down, okay, and customer, when they give green signal to start development, they say, fine, we know that we are 2-3 weeks delayed or a month delayed, but I don't want to shift my end date because I have commitments to do. Okay, I have committed to my customer that I will roll out this service by December end. So in Christmas you will have this service available. Okay, but you go and argue, but you gave me a green signal for development couple of months late, and then nothing doing. You have to start the development now, but don't overshoot the timeline. Now such scenario, when it comes, okay, it becomes a huge challenge, because we spoke about scope, timeline, cost, quality, and any one changes directly impacts on other, okay, and then if you try to compromise it, you impact your quality. Okay, so basically, friends, these are some of the challenges which I have tried to lay down. I have touched base a lot upon different things, ever-changing requirements. I tried to give you some reasons based on experience that I have faced. I have spoken about estimations. I have given you example. I have spoken about the importance of estimation, importance of communication. Okay, so in these challenges I have tried to tell you all real life things which are there posed as problems for software project, and obviously pose huge challenges for software project manager. In our next video, we are going to specifically touch base upon a very interesting fact, and we'll try to discuss, or we'll discuss whether software project management is a science or is an art or is a balance of both. Till then, thank you so much, and if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up, try to comment and share this video with all. Thanks a lot.